Oh no, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a blue sky. My Hero Academia fans of the anime, run! Oh, never mind. The last 3 episodes went back to that gray sky and that grim look. Hey! Drop a like if you feel like that whole complaint of the blue sky is still one of the most ridiculous things you've ever heard anime and manga fans complain about, because yeah, it's definitely up there for me. Like, the blue sky is a problem. Well, the Deku solo hero arc has not been a problem by any means. At the very least, if the last 3 episodes are any indication, episodes 132 through 134, let's talk about what's been going down in the My Hero anime, because if I'm just keeping it all the way real with you, there ain't no hate coming from me when it comes to this season, boy, and these episodes. Let's talk about it. Yes, people, the Deku solo hero arc, the Black Hero, continues, and I ain't even gonna lie, bro. I know that there's people that ain't been rocking with My Hero and My Hero Academia right now. I personally feel at the moment is a tale of 2 different feels when it comes to the anime and manga. If you watch some of my streams where I talk about the manga, then you know the manga been on a... The anime, however, has been absolutely slapping so heavy, and I've been loving every minute of it ever since we got to this, again, Deku solo hero arc, the Black Hero, whatever you want to call it, fam. It is straight gas. Everybody that been complaining about the sky and all of these ridiculous things that continue to plague My Hero Academia's fandom, knock it off, fam. Knock it off, because legit My Hero Academia's anime right now is just so good. It's so good, because even the world building, so to speak, has been just alone fascinating. From when you kick off with episode 132 and you see that, yo, things is really bad. Like that previous war that we just had, and all the catastrophe that went down, from Gigantomachia slamming into buildings and with Shigaraki blowing stuff up and making things decay. It's like My Hero Academia has been absolutely going cray-cray, and the civilians have been affected by it. I mean, alone, it's to the point where there is such a division now between civilians and heroes, because where we pick up, there's pretty much heroes that are putting down the cape. They don't want to deal with these type of problems with what society has devolved into, so to speak, where, yeah, it's going crazy, because a lot of villains have been set free thanks to All For One, and they're running amok, and a lot of the civilians feel like they can't trust the heroes, because if all of this went down, right, they're pretty much in their darkest time, so to speak, of the My Hero Academia series, and it's going to this point where the heroes are putting down their capes, on top of the fact that, don't forget the quote-unquote propaganda, or whatever you want to call it, regarding Endeavor being in the media. It is a very, very hard time to trust heroes when you're seeing all of this going down. You're seeing that Endeavor was not Father of the Year when it comes to his family, and in general, now civilians are feeling like, yo, we gotta take up the, arms against these ops out here in these streets, because the heroes ain't helping us, dog. They don't care. I mean, you even see when some of the other kids from the different schools and classes and whatnot try to show up and be heroes, the civilians are like, get lost, dog. We on our vigilante situation right now. We don't care. Move, scoot, scram. Like, they don't want nothing to do with the heroes. And you gotta throw the argument that I would feel the same way if I'm in this situation and it looks like the heroes ain't helping, society has went down the hole, you got heroes hanging up their capes. Yeah, we got some quirks, let us give it a shot. Why not? You know what I'm saying? We could be heroes too, which, if you really think about it, yes, you can be your own hero. You are your own hero. But in terms of the context of the story, it kind of feels a little bit wonky, because regardless of how many of these people will stand together, let's keep it a buck, if Muscular ran through any of them right then and there, it would be a Rizzy. It would be a wrap. So much so that even when he caught homie in the green, that I can't remember his name to save my life, please put his name somewhere around here, yeah, that hero was no match. But I gotta admit that My Hero Academia's anime has made Deku look phenomenal. I mean, the rematch of Muscular versus Deku. Let's talk a little bit about something that Deku has had all along and has continued to grow and grow, and that's the smarts, the knowledge, the studying. He can really find his opponent's weaknesses at this point. And of course, you got all these extra quirks now, which I know some people feel, for better or worse, that Deku has multiple quirks thanks to One for All, but nevertheless, he's utilizing them in a proper way to really discern what's going on with the enemy, because he's pretty much damn near like Spider-Man to a certain degree, where, you know, he can swing around using the black whip. He has the Spidey sense from another one. Like, he has a lot of Spider-Man-esque qualities for, you know, My Hero Academia and for being a hero from a Japanese comic book. But you just seen that, like, yo, of course Deku was already smart from the get-go. He had a lot of heroes written down, he had a lot of villains written down, but the fact that he was able this time around to go up against Muscular and not have to go 1,000,000,000% and all of that stuff, it wasn't necessarily because of the quirks. It was, he has gotten so good at studying the enemy that he was able to find the weakness, the little slither in his muscles, as to why Muscular wasn't jumping up on top of the building straight away and stuff like that. Like, he is getting really good, and you gotta give Deku his props as a solo hero, because he handled Muscular, and in this rematch, it was very different. It was not the same Deku fight at all. This time around, it was showing, like, here's where we're at right now. And if we're going to see more of, which likely we are, because again, a lot of prisoners were freed thanks to All for One, we're going to be able to see round 2 and how Deku has grown as a hero and how he puts down these villains moving forward. And just in general, that whole battle was gas. I loved it. Seeing Muscular return yet again and him being so obsessed with Deku, the one guy that gave him a fun fight, is like, yeah, sure, he's a musclehead and he's very short-sighted, but it was mighty fun, if I do say so myself, to see the rematch. And let's quickly segue to the relationship between Deku and All Might. It's kind of crazy. I've said this before and I'll say it again. All Might went from Superman to Alfred from Batman. Like, flat out, up and down. But I don't want to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, because at that point when Deku first ran into All Might, he needed Superman. He needed somebody to look at and admire, to give him the courage to become the hero that he ultimately is right now and will become even further down the road. He needed that at that time. Now he does need an Alfred, a confidant, somebody to be, you know, giving him the advice that he needs and stuff like that. So while arguably, yes, it would have been really cool for All Might to continue on being a hero. We love All Might, all of that stuff. He was at one given point my favorite character in My Hero Academia. Him kind of segueing into a different role of more of a supervisor or helper to Deku fits right now, because again, this is Deku's story, his journey through this academia, so to speak, of life, and he needs an Alfred right now. So yes, the roles have switched for All Might, but that's totally okay, because All Might is now more utilizing his emotions and being able to talk Deku out of certain situations, opposed to just like, yo, I got the muscles, bro. Like, I'm the muscle dude. And to reference the stuff that we were speaking about earlier, the art, animation, and the color scheme of everything in general was fabulous over these last few episodes. From the start to the recent wrap-up of Lady Nagant, everything just looked great. So the fact that, again, people had complaints about, I think it was episode 131, where Deku was overseeing the city and the sky was blue, which that was supposed to be the color, it was the daytime. And in the manga, it looked really dark, gritty, a lot of rain, a lot of just, in general, the atmosphere that everybody wanted moving forward. So for fans that were upset about it, voila, the art looks great, the color schemes, Deku in the nighttime looks even more badass with the green. Lady Nagant is just perfect, would be the word, because fam, Lady Nagant was just absolute gas. And again, because it was very fast, it was like, I ain't gonna lie, I could have gone for at least 2 or 3 more episodes of this Lady Nagant hunting down Deku, but we're here because we find out that Lady Nagant is pretty much like the greatest sniper, that even some of the heroes that were snipers had to tip their hat off and say, man, I'd be #1 if it wasn't for Lady Nagant. And her hunting down Deku as he's basically trying to outmaneuver her and outmaneuver her shots was awesome. It was something totally different. I feel like this season of My Hero, especially this half of My Hero, this solo hero arc, is the most different and the biggest switch of tone that the series has had all series. Like, we are not no longer, you know, going into these little training festivals. There's no more any of the, okay, the big baddie is here. This arc in particular is Deku handling serious problems, because going down the rabbit hole of what Lady Nagant really was and everything that happened with her, it also opens up a whole new playbook, or not even a playbook, but a whole new reality to Deku of what Hero Society also offers. Like, sure, on the surface, you got All Might, you got Endeavor, you got the heroes that are coming to save the day. But beneath it all, you got the Lady Nagants that are hired assassins and doing dastardly deeds. And whenever she tries to speak up and give some real information to the people of, yo, dog, heroes are doing some messed up things, there's some really foul things going on, the Hero Association basically wanted to shut her up, and ultimately led to her committing the crime that landed her in jail of basically killing one of the top people from the Hero Association, the shadow government, so to speak, that controls everything. And honestly, that was very dark, and I feel very appropriate to add to give Deku a different perspective of, yo, we know you love heroes and you worship the ground a lot of them walk on and you want to be a hero, but there's more to this situation than meets the eye. I mean, for crying out loud, Nagant was a hired assassin, and despite her hunting down Deku, we got to see a lot out of Deku. Again, we got to see the growth. We got to see that he also can utilize all the quirks from One for All pretty well. Again, while all of these bullets are maneuvering, one of the things is that she could basically bend the bullets to follow a person. He was, even after getting shot, he still was swinging around. He was still dodging the bullets and whatnot. This also, again, shows that this is probably one of the best academic type of situations you're going to get for Deku, because you could study all day, you could read the books, you could look, you can imagine, but actually being out in the field, actually being outside and having to go through this alone, not having the entire Class 1A, not having All Might right by his side, not having the heroes watching over to make sure everything goes smoothly, that is one of the biggest lessons you're going to get for a, aspiring hero, so to speak, even though Deku's damn near one of the best heroes out right now with One for All and all that stuff. But that is the best lesson you're going to get, is actually being live in action in the field. And honestly, the wrap-up of Deku versus Nagant, which, to be fair, Lady Nagant versus Deku was mainly just her shooting her bullets from afar, but at the end of the day, she's assassin. It was just kind of wild finding out that Hawks was basically her successor, she was his predecessor, and the reason why he was a successor is because she went to jail for standing up for what's right and realizing, these people, they're not on the up and up, dog. We're supposed to be protecting society and doing all these great things, but we're looking the other way. We're doing messed up things too. It's not right. So Nagant, I feel like, yeah, maybe you could throw the argument, she crossed the line, killing dude or whatever, but Nagant was basically wanting for the people to be saved, wanting to help the people. So I got to give it up to Lady Nagant. And honestly, what happened to her when All for One pretty much gave her that quirk and it exploded on her, I was not too happy, mate. I mean, it was great in terms of storytelling, sure, but dog, Nagant was freaking awesome, and I would have loved to see her rocking out a little bit, whether it be with the heroes or whatever the case may be. But it's like, damn, dog. I mean, she was able to tell them a little bit something of, hey, in 2 weeks this is gonna happen at a mansion or whatever. But damn, dog, poor Nagant. Lady Nagant deserved better. No, for real, dog. Lady Nagant deserved better, man. She was just amazing. Her character design, I love her character design. It's fabulous, to say the least. And not to mention the fact that she kind of brought Overhaul back into the picture as well, because it was basically like, yo, you help me against this Deku kid, and you want to see that old man? Sure, I'll help you see the old man, but help me with this kid. It was nice to bring out old Overhaul. I even wore the shirt just for the occasion, lads, of basically seeing him broken and distraught. He's not that far off from where we last saw him when he was being put on the stretcher and Shigaraki basically crapped all over his existence of, yeah, he just wants to see this old man and he's really messed up. I mean, even when Deku was like, yo, dog, I help you see old man, apologize to Eri for what you did to her, he still is just like completely destroyed and broken. Like, it's kind of sad to see. It's actually very sad to see what has become of Overhaul, considering the fact that, again, for season 4 he was the big bad villain and he had this whole Yakuza operation. He was the next up in the operation, next head of it and all that jazz, and for it to go down the way it is right now of him just being a broken mess is sad. And it's again showcasing that villains are also victims. Like, I think this arc is really giving you a better idea of society, and it's giving Deku a better idea of society as well, of like, yo, heroes go through it. I mean, look at Hawks, he gotta grow new wings, and look at Endeavor, and look at everybody else, but villains are also victims as well. Look at Nagant again. She just wanted for people to be on the up and up. She just wanted to help people. Then look at Chisaki. Granted, yeah, he was a victim of himself to a certain degree, but look at him. He's destroyed. Look at Dabi, like, you know, going back to earlier in the season. Like, there's a lot of villains that are also victims of society, victims of heroes, and just in general, it's not all black and white. The good guys are the good guys. The villains are the bad guys. Like, there's a gray area, and a lot of these villains fall into that. Like, don't get it twisted. All for One, he comes across as just straight evil. I mean, what he did to Nagant was really messed up. What he's done to a lot of people, what he's doing to Shigaraki right now is really foul. So you could throw the argument, sure, there's some that fall into that line, and even then, it makes you question because we don't know everything about All for One. Like, if he has some really high-class, justified, like he's trying to save the world in his own twisted way, sure, you could say, okay, there's something more to him. But as it stands right now, we don't know everything about All for One, and all we know is that, yo, dog, you hurt Lady Nagant!
Hey! No! Stop! Just calm down!
Yes, I am very passionate about Lady Nagant. I'm sorry. And I thought it was very interesting and a neat touch in these dark times that also the heroes are facing criticism. We're getting a lot of criticism in the media and whatnot, again, about Endeavor and stuff like that. So it's just demonstrating the world building of what Horikoshi has set forth with this really awesome arc that everything is upside down. And I like it. I wish we had more of My Hero like this. It gives more growth to Deku. It gives more growth to the story. And it's a change of pace from just Class 1A bumping elbows. Hey, we got it. We're doing it together. To, no, sometimes you got to stand alone. And Deku has so far stand alone in a very excellent way. Sure, Hawks and Endeavor showed up at the last second. But even then, Deku had to save Hawks because Endeavor dropped him. I'm like, damn, Endeavor, you're supposed to be #1 hero. What are you doing here, fam? But Spider Deku saved the day. And honestly, thus far, the last few episodes of My Hero Academia with the Lady Nagant arc has been marvelous, fabulous, great character development for Deku. Art and animation, great. The color palette looking mighty fine. The sky was what people wanted. Hey! The Deku versus Muscular rematch was banging. Like, just in general, this was a fire arc. This was great, and I can't really complain. But I'm extremely curious how you feel about My Hero Academia Season 6 thus far. The Black Hero arc with Deku. Yay, nay. What do you think about the Muscular rematch? How do you feel about Lady Nagant as a villain? Your thoughts on all the villains running the streets and how society is portrayed at this particular point. People losing faith in the heroes. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of My Hero with the next episode and beyond. It is cooking with gas. Haters gon' hate, but My Hero Academia anime is like Tony the Tiger. Great! God, that was so corny. Have an awesome day. Peace in, lads.
Lights be flashing and looking at me. Such a odd, unique, yet I'm so unique and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably repeat. And I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.